I'm 32 today, and birthdays are strange because, on the one hand, it's just another day. You know, you wake up, you get older, life carries on. But at the same time, birthdays force you to think and look at your life. You know, where you are, where you thought you would be, what you have built, what you've been building, what you've lost, and what you still want. And I'll be honest, I am not where I thought I would be at 32. You know, when you're younger, you imagine your life looking a certain way by this sort of age. You know, you think you'll have everything figured out: the career, the money, the family situation, the house, the confidence, the stability, the clear direction. But life doesn't always move in a straight line. Sometimes it breaks you down first, and sometimes you have to go through things that you never expected to have to go through. Whether it's relationships that end, money becoming super tight, you know, jobs that don't feel right. You know, you lose confidence throughout all of this, and you can make mistakes. You know, you start more times than you thought you would, and suddenly you hit another birthday and think, well, this isn't quite where I thought I'd be. But for me personally, this year feels a bit different than the last few years, because even though I'm not where I want to be yet, I don't feel like I'm standing still anymore, or I don't feel like I'm being held back anymore. I feel like I'm building slowly, imperfectly, quietly, but confidently, and building essentially. The past year or two or three have taught me a lot. It's taught me that, you know, progress doesn't always look impressive from the outside. Sometimes progress just looks like getting up and getting through another day and trying again. You know, sometimes progress is not reacting how you used to react to certain situations. Progress can just be simply showing up for your children. Progress can be training when you're tired. Progress is making the video when, you know, it's quarter past 11 at night and your 32nd birthday is coming to a sharp end. But because you've built up a daily cadence, you upload the video, make the video anyway. Whether it's you know, doing an odd job, doing a bit of painting, some creative pursuit, learning the skill, progress is just one piece at a time. And I think when you can admit that progress is simply a form of admission that you don't want to live life like this anymore, then that's when you can start to really build something, you know. And this is where I feel like I am essentially. I don't have everything sorted, not even close. Like I said in yesterday's video, I've got one thing in my life which is self-actualized, which is my bench press strength. 180 kilograms on the bench press, 100% naturally aspirated, is the only long-term life goal which I've really completed, as well as having children, I guess. But I suspect I may have more, but that's a story for a different video. You know, there are still many things I need to fix. Income needs to improve, work needs to change, my art needs to grow, YouTube needs to grow, my life needs more stability, and there are still days and times where I feel behind, of course, it's only human. But I'm not blind to the progress, you know. Like mentioning the 180 kilogram bench press I set in 2020, I achieved it in 2026. You know, it took 6 years to get there, and arguably it took me 31 years to get there, because I was 31 years old when I did it. You know, I've started taking my artwork more seriously recently. I've started building a new art direction. I'm staying consistent with YouTube. I've become aware of the kind of man and father who I want to be. I've made decisions the old version of me probably would have avoided or would have not made. And even though none of it means that I've made it, it certainly means that I'm moving. And at 32, I think this matters, you know. Life isn't about having everything perfectly sorted by any particular age. You know, maybe it's just becoming honest enough to stop drifting, you know, honest enough to look at your life and say, you know, this is not exactly what I want, but I'm going to take responsibility for where it goes next. And this is the mindset I've carried through my 31, and I'm going to carry into my 32s. You know, less panic, more direction, less reacting, more building, less chasing things that are not right for me, and more focus on what actually matters: my children, my health, my work, my art, my strength, my peace, my future. I want 32 to be the year where things become more solid, you know, not perfect. Life is not about being perfect, just solid. I want to earn better, create better, train properly, finish things, build something real, become a even better dad, become more calm, become harder to knock off course, harder to kill. And most of all, I want to keep proving to myself that I'm not stuck, because I think that's one of the biggest things people fear, or the biggest fears people have when they get older. They feel stuck. They feel like they've missed their chance in whatever realm of discovery they want to pursue. They feel like they've missed their chance. They fear that they're too far behind, that life has already passed them by and there's no point starting now. I don't believe that. I think you can be 32, 42, 52, 62, whatever age, and still decide the next chapter is going to be different. You might not be able to change the past. Well, you certainly cannot change the past, but you might be able to change your future. You can't undo certain mistakes. You can't make life happen how you imagine it all the time, but you can still build, you can still grow, you can still create a life that feels more honest, or more aligned with who you are, where you want to be, even if you are, like I said, 32, 42, 52, 62, 72, heck, why not 82? So that's where I'm at today. I'm 32. I'm not where I thought I would be. I'm not where I want to end up, but I'm not where I was either. And that's the big thing. That's enough for me for now. I'm still here, still trying, still learning, still building, and still working on the things I want to be working on. And this next year, I want to make sure the work actually shows. And I will. I'm Jake O'Neill. You've been watching Jake O'Neill UK. I forgot to put my mic in today. I was literally thinking about it before turning on the camera, but because it's late and I've had a long day, I didn't do it. But yes, for future videos, I will be wearing a mic as to boost the audio on these videos. But you have been watching Jake O'Neill UK. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.